Hi, I'm Connor from Mast. Last video, what I did was go through adding a camera to a PoE port of a recorder. So that was easy enough. Basically just plug the camera in, recorder picks it up, gives it a password and initializes. But this week, I'm going to go through adding a camera, go into a PoE switch, go into a recorder. So what I've got here is I have a recorder which is currently set to 192.168.0.150. So common scenario. Dahua, by default, the devices will usually be on 192.168.1.108. So we're in two different ranges. So I'm just going to go through on how to add camera, which is completely uninitialized, to a recorder, which in this scenario has been given a static, but could have been given a DHCP address to be on .0. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my remote devices. So what I can see on my remote device is that there is a camera that is currently on 192.168.1.108. But I want to add that camera to my .0. So for them both to communicate, they both need to be on the same range. What I would recommend doing is going to Config Tool. In Config Tool, all I can currently see is my NVR. So what I'm going to need to do is in the Windows search bar, type View Network Connections. Right-click your Ethernet port, Properties, Internet Protocol version 4, Properties again, and this will let you change your IP address. So I'm going to change it to a .1, so I'm on the same range as the camera, so I can connect to the camera. We'll lose connection to the actual recorder. But hopefully if I search Config Tool now, I can now see that camera. But I want to now change this to be .0 like the recorder. So first things first, I'm going to have to initialize the camera. You can do that through Config Tool, or you can do it through its IP address. So if you don't want to use a middleman, go straight to .1.108. It will take you through the initialization process on the camera, which just means give it a password and a username. So once the camera has connected to the web page, we just have to set it up. Set your time zone. And here we go. Username admin, set your admin account. So I'm just going to use a generic password just for adding it. Okay, so this is a TOG1 that I'm adding, which we use for training purposes. So it is on the older interface. If you go to setting on this interface and network and your TCP/IP settings, you will be able to change that. So I'm just going to give it .1.0.100. And you can click test. Test will make sure that you've got no IP conflicts going on the network. There's no real gateway on the system. But there we go. Now it's been saved. The camera's IP has also been changed. So what we're going to have to do is go back to our network connections, Internet Protocol version 4, Properties, and change back to 0. So now our camera and recorder are in the same range. We're going to have to go back to the web page of the recorder and add that camera. Right, back on our remote devices. We can now see the cameras on .0.100. When I gave the camera a password, I gave it the same password as the recorder. So I will be able to just add into the bottom list. Shows red at first, but if you press refresh, it will go green and the camera will add. If it doesn't go green immediately, the status light, typically it will be a password. So when I logged onto the camera, I initialized it with a password. That will be the password you'll need to enter. If that does happen, you can go to edit here and type in your password that you've set. Cameras will never come with a password by default. They will always be, well, you always have to initialize them with a password. So you can either do that manually on the camera, or the recorder will give it a password if it automatically adds at any point. So if we go to live view now, there's a bit of a white screen because there's currently a cover on the camera I'm adding here. But that's it. That's how you would add a camera through a PoE switch going to the LAN port of the recorder to the recorder. Quick little extra bit at the end. So the way I've just described how to do it is if everything goes wrong, basically. The worst case scenario, what you'll have to do is connect to the camera and it's at its IP address. In the best case scenario, I've reset up the camera so it's been completely defaulted, uninitialized, no password. So we see a red X here. If I simply add that from that top list, disappears, goes into the bottom list. So even though it was on 108.1.108, the recorder has initialized it, and even though it's on the LAN side, is given an IP address that matches the recorder's own. So it'll take a bit of time, but there we go, green status light. So it can be that easy, but if that doesn't work, then you can also do it manually by changing your range and going to the camera, changing its details, adding it onto the recorder. What you might want to do is, if you do it this way though, is change the IP address. If it is adding it on .0.1, sometimes that can be a IP address which may cause you issues. So this way at least does make it so that you don't have to change your IP range. You can just add it to the recorder and then connect to the camera. So if I type .0.1. Okay, so I'm on .0.1 now, and that is the camera's webpage. So if you're lucky, you can just straight add it from that top list into that bottom, but if that doesn't work, go back on this video and manually change your IP range. That was adding a camera through a PoE switch going to a recorder's LAN port. So next video, what I'll do is I'll go through IVS rules and set them up from the recorder.